Okay, we're up and live. So this is kind of awkward for me because so I spent about 15 years on the agency side, and most of that time was spent actually being pitched as opposed to doing the pitching. And I'm kind of in this weird situation that if I do too well today, I know I've seen a couple of my salespeople in the audience are actually going to start dragging me to pitches more and more. So anyways, I got to be careful here today. Stephen, today is the first time that we've actually met. So what I want to do is actually kind of, I don't know, being the CMO, how many people actually know who JumpTap is in the audience? I would love a raise of hands. Ooh, that's good. That means I'm actually doing my job. I should get my bonus this year. All right. So I'm going to start with just, honestly, very, very briefly, just kind of set the stage on what we are and what we do. So we reach about 80% of the mobile web. Our users spend more time with our sites within our network than any other individual mobile site. I think that's important. We're one of the fastest growing mobile ad networks. And the reason for that is because we have a combined, if Apple really focuses on, let's say, the brand part of it, and Google Ad Mob focuses on the performance side of things, we have the best of both worlds. We have our performance ad network, and we have our brand side as well. As well as in terms of reach, as you can see, we're at about 63 million uniques currently. And JumpTap is one of the only handsets really offering a handset agnostic approach. We work on Android, work on iPhone, work on everything, as well as a rich media agnostic approach, which I think is very important. And just some stats in terms of if you looked at us versus other, not just mobile ad networks, but in general, we're actually number 15 with 63 million uniques. That's according to ComScore. Okay, so in terms of reach, quality, and choice, as I mentioned, 63 million uniques a month, 900 million premium display, available up to 8 billion impressions per month. More carrier portals than any other network, and this is really, really important. So we work with about 80% of the carriers in the US. Small little carriers that I'm sure none of you have actually heard of, right? Because we're a small company, fairly. I mean, we work with AT&T, we work with Sprint, we work with Virgin, we work with Boost. And what does that mean? That means exact carrier data. They supply real data on audience targeting. In addition to that, we have the behavioral targeting, we have the contextual targeting, but we also have publisher supplied data. And we have a network of 400 hand-picked premium sites and apps. All of our hand-picked apps and sites are site-specific. You can target via content, context, or channels. In terms of ad formats, offer not only banners, rich media, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but as well as video and even search, and that's our heritage. And our banners are priced either on a CPM or CPC basis, and everything is 100% transparent, which I think is very, very important. So I want to just kind of take a step back. So obviously we picked Tresemme, and I did not grow up in a Walmart. It was a Kmart, actually, and I did use Tresemme product this morning, just for you, so just as a point of reference. But what we heard from you, okay, no one laughed. I tried. I can't compete with that. Anyways, so drive product trial for non-users who are aware of the Tresemme brand and support new product launches. So what that meant to us was really how do we engage users and how do we leverage and build branded content for the audience? Is that accurate? Yeah? Okay, so we got that right. So our tactics, really. So leverage our reach, right? Our billions and billions of impressions and our exact targeting with our carrier relationships and our carrier targeting to reach the Tresemme customer. Utilize custom sponsorships, and we're going to talk about this a little bit as well, to provide dedicated share of voice opportunities. And then finally, use rich media to really engage the customers. Because if you might have the right placement in the right publisher in the right context, but unless the ad is actually engaging, the user's not going to engage, right? They're not going to interact. So we took a very tactical approach. We want to actually show you a plan and show the audience a plan that is actually real. We thought this was, this is a pitch. Let's have some fun with this. So, we're obviously targeting women 18 to 34, utilizing our carrier targeting, which is exact audience targeting. We're going to use the Women in Lifestyle Entertainment channel to expand that, to really reach women on the go. On the premium side, we're going to leverage our relationships with Hearst and do a mobile site takeover for 100% share of voice. And in addition to using Harper's Bazaar, Marie Claire, Cosmo, and Real Beauty. And in addition to that, utilize a custom advertorial with LimeLife, which is obviously a women's focused publisher. The impressions, as you can see, this is something that if one of my salespeople, they could bring up an IO today and you could actually execute, because that's really what we're talking about today is when we pitch you, we want to actually sell you something that you can actually buy. And I think that's important. So in terms of the CPG personal care benchmarks, we looked at various campaigns and it really aggregated these. And for the first half of 2010, average click-through rate was 2.27. Now obviously we can't share post-click data, but we have full tracking on whatever you want to track, whether that is just simply click-through, whether it's post-click to some action, whether we do something crazy like click to call, whether it's click to coupon, or whether it's click to SMS and you're building your actual data, but your CRM database. We had a high of 3.2% and a low of 1.13. And incidentally, the interesting thing was, to our proposal, the best click-through rates, the best responses were those that were actually demo targeted. And another point of note is our renewal rate within the CPG category in terms of CPG advertisers that are renewing their campaigns is right around 82%. Okay, so now, in addition to that, we talked about the targeting a lot. We actually thought we'd have some fun, and I'm glad we have time. We want to build you a demo, okay? And that was actually going to be added value as part of this. So let me see if this actually, I can pull it up. Okay, so this is our little demo that we want to showcase, because remember, the idea is to engage the user. And so if we click on that right there, it's a nice rich media ad unit. This is actually, I'll be honest, is built in Flash, but it would be on HTML5, right? And you can click into, let's say, links to style tips to get more information. And this would all be part of the package. So now if I can go back to my presentation. No. Hang on. There we go. So why JumpTap? We're the only ad network with actually exact carrier targeting for exact demo information. We have 100% complete open platform across rich media and operating system. Fundamentally, we don't believe advertisers buy operating systems or they buy handsets. They buy people, they buy audience. So whether you're trying to reach someone on an Android device, on a Windows device, a BlackBerry device, or maybe even iPhone, we support it all. We have full transparency on our media buy, and we really combine reach and relevancy. Having said that, I want to leave a couple minutes for questions.
Cool. Great. I too, actually, it's great to see that the mobile advertising industry has gotten to the point where we have added value now, which
thank you.
Usually is a good bar to reach. And then secondly, I think as you talk about click-through rates and eventually engagement rates in mobile, to some extent because the inventory is so much more limited on screen, I think you'll always see kind of, compared to banner click-through rates and engagement rates, probably always much higher than that.
Sure.
I'd just be interested in your opinion. Do you think that's going to continue to stay because the amount of inventory available, at least ad spaces on a mobile device, are going to be the same, limited? Or do you see more and more ad space opening up as we get into larger screen phones, as we talked about this morning, and then diluting the click-through rate and the engagement rates?
So I think it's yes and yes. So I think the click-through rate will eventually go down. However, having said that, I do believe there's less clutter, obviously, on the mobile device. There's one, maybe two ads. And our perspective on this is that it's not the amount of impressions you buy, it's the impression you make with the consumer. What does that mean? Because the mobile device is such a personal device, our whole philosophy on advertising, on just making spam advertising, has really shifted to provide a value exchange with that consumer based on this concept of relevance. And so that's why we really focus on targeting and creative to really build that value exchange between the advertiser and the user. So it's something of interest to them. So I think, yes, it will go down. However, as relevancy increases, I believe it will stabilize. You said you had a second question? Or?
No, that's it.
Oh, that's it.
Good.
Okay.
I got one since we have a little bit of time.
Sure.
With
got a minute left.
You guys have huge reach, obviously going well beyond smartphones. I'm kind of curious, do you have a sense for this particular campaign for Tresemme, like how you'd see the impressions breaking down between smartphone impressions versus feature phone and the rest of the mobile market?
Yeah, I actually agree with Aaron. I think it would be probably half and half feature phone, half smartphone. Because I think there's an awful lot of, obviously, consumers that still are using feature phones, and I think it'd be a mistake to just focus on smartphones.